This week on Lead One, getting to know the crew.
Welcome to the Lead One podcast, where our mission is to lead leaders through leadership. The goal is to get 1% better every day. Let's see what Drew and the guys have to say.
All right, guys, welcome back to Lead One. Here with the crew this morning, Brandon, France, and Sam Buck. Let's get 1% better today. Episode 4, we've gotten some feedback from our listeners, and we realized that we've not done a great job of informing everyone of who we are and our background and story. And so we're going to take that opportunity today to tell you a little bit about us. We realize some of our listeners may have some connection to one or a couple of us, but probably not everyone. So
what was some of those questions? What did the people want to know?
Ages, family dynamics, how long we've known each other. So
they trying to date us? What are they trying to do?
That's kind of what it feels like. These were Brady's questions. I mean,
this is a dating game.
Everybody's
Right,
background, quick bullet points.
I got you.
All right, so I could talk about myself.
Behind curtain number 1.
All the time I could talk about myself.
We know. We know.
But yeah, I'm Brandon, in case you don't know my voice yet. My background is music industry. Worked in the music industry for about 16 years. Did some time with Def Jam, Warner Brothers, and some independent time. Right now, we're in the financial industry now by way of life insurance.
Brandon, tell us a couple people that you work with. I was bragging to Brady the other day. I was like,
oh, yeah, we work with a lot of people. When I was with Def Jam, I worked with Young Jeezy. I worked with Kerry Hilson. I worked with Movado, while I was with Def Jam. And then when I was with Warner Brothers, I was paired with Brian Michael Cox. He's a Grammy Award winner. So we worked with Pussycat Dolls, Mariah, Mary J. Blige, LaToya Luckett. I don't know if y'all remember her. Mace, Loon, Puff. List goes on and on. I actually got paired with a very, very successful producer. So, got some stories. What about you, Sam? I know you was in the music industry too.
I was in music for sure. I'm going to say what, you always have a love for music.
I was about to say still are, right?
Yeah, but like you said, we're in the financial industry now by way of life insurance. And for me, man, I always wanted to just be different. I never been able to just be. I've always gotten pulled into something. So from early on, like I went to Howard University in D.C., played football there. I was actually a full scholarship athlete while being a music major, which was incredibly different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't just like, on the team. I was starting tight end several pounds ago. More like a freaking one technique now.
So you look pretty good.
Yeah, I still look good.
I ain't say look. I said you were pretty good.
Yeah, I was okay. Could have been better at times. We all can, but I had a good time. So the structure of that, trying to balance two worlds, because those are two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
People always say that athletics and music is similar, but I mean the reality is the lifestyle may be similar, but the worlds are different. You know what I mean? One has a lot of structure, and one could have no structure at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've been a musician forever, so I majored in jazz piano and in business as well. So that's just a little bit about me. Then I came to Atlanta like everybody else because of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I was here. I was spending so much time here. It made more sense to move here. I guess long story short, for now, I ended up with y'all.
All right.
Amen to that.
So,
well, I'll jump in.
Yeah,
For those of you that don't know, I'm Drew Atterholt, 32 years old. Unlike Brandon and Sam, I don't have a cool backstory about how I got into our business. I didn't do anything that cool. I've actually graduated from North Georgia College with a marketing degree. Got into our business at 22 years old, so going on 10 years now. Married. My wife is a nurse practitioner. Got a son named Pierce, going on 2 years old. So,
Well, I'm married too. I didn't say that in my background.
What?
I've been married for 12 years. Me and my wife got 5 girls.
5.
So, yeah,
Dang.
big family.
I might as well be married.
Yeah, Sam, you might as well be married.
Might as well. Is she listening right now?
I hope she is. But nah, my son's almost 2 as well. He turns 2 in a couple of days.
Oh, yeah, good. That's a good time.
Yeah.
For all you listeners out there, my name is Franz. I'm 47 years old. I've been in sales.
Franz is the geezer of the group.
Geezer of the crew.
What Kevin Hart do?
Damn. I've been in sales right out of college. I went to John Jay Criminal Justice in New York City. I actually studied forensic science, believe it or not.
What was the plan there?
You know, it was one of those things. There was no plan. It was like growing up. It was like your parents had a predetermined notion of what you were going to be.
Yeah.
So I was following in what they wanted for me to do.
I know that feeling.
And
I thought you was about to say you was watching SVU or something.
and I realized by the time I got to about my junior year, I realized this isn't really for me. This is not what I want to do. This is not my passion. And I remember taking an internship on Wall Street one summer, and after the summer was over, I was one of the probably 20, 30 kids. They probably kept about 10 or 15 of us, and I was one of them. And I never looked back. And I was on Wall Street for 13 years, did private equity and fixed income, helped structure a lot of deals that are out there today. From there, 2008, when the world blew up, I had to learn how to pivot, and I then started my own company, which was an online ordering tech firm, which then morphed to a marketing company doing websites, online ordering, text campaigns, email campaigns, social media campaigns.
Online ordering of what?
For restaurants.
Okay.
That went on from basically 2010 till last year, which is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It is still in existence out of New York. My partner runs the day-to-day.
What's the name of it?
Easy to eat.
Mm.
But what eventually happened was how I got to Atlanta was it was an interesting conversation. This actually happened over dinner. We all get to that point in our lives when we're ready for change.
Mm-hmm.
And my fiance and I were sitting over having dinner with some friends, and she brought it up that she was just ready for a change. I too was ready for a change, and I said to her, well, she's the one who actually wanted to come to Atlanta. So I said to her, I said, well, if this is the move that you actually want to make, we're going to do it in 3 months, or we're going to do it in 2 years. And the reason why that was because our lease ended in 3 months. So it was going to be, we're going to do it in 3 months, or we're going to do it in 2 years. So if you want to pull the Band-Aid, we're pulling the Band-Aid right now.
Yeah.
And so we're going to jump, take a leap of faith. We found an apartment online, sight unseen, and within 90 days, we landed in Atlanta. Obviously, at that time, I've always believed in residual business. So, Easy to Eat was paying all the bills through residual business, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So you got out of New York pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, yes.
Okay.
I was here at least a year.
COVID to Atlanta.
Yeah, I brought COVID to Atlanta.
France's fault.
It's my fault.
Great job, Frank.
Thank you. So we were here about a year, living off the residuals, trying to figure out, kind of what's next for me. And COVID hit. And once COVID hit, as usual, you got to pivot and figure out how you're going to survive and not get stuck in the mud. And one thing that I realized while COVID was happening, there wasn't a lot of movement on the streets. We all know that, right? There was only trucks and essential workers.
Yeah.
Which then I started, which then sparked my interest to start looking at what falls under the guidelines of essential workers. And I wound up looking into the insurance industry, which is what we do now. And the one thing that I always loved, and I still do, which is obviously the residual component of the business. to make money in your sleep. And I came in here, spoke with obviously our our senior Lord and Savior here, Drew, and I just said, listen, I'm just looking for a shot. Just give me, let me just prove
I think
myself.
Franz was wearing like a purple suit that day or something.
Franz is a character.
He had your Easter suit on that day.
I had my Easter suit, my Bugs Bunny Easter suit on. But no, I just came in. I said, listen, I just need a shot. And I know what I'm capable of doing. So let me show you what I can do, and then we could talk about everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people where I want to prove myself first, then we could talk about everything else afterwards, because everybody could tell you how great they are, but not everyone can actually show and prove.
Sure. And that kind of takes us to a question that one of the listeners had, was kind of how long we've all known each other. What's interesting is when Franz came into our business, obviously that's how he and I met. That was right as, I want to say that was
March, April
2020. And COVID had just hit hard here in the Atlanta area. So it's interesting to me that Franz knows nothing about our business pre-COVID. So I guess you and I are going on about a 1.5 year relationship with each other. Brandon,
maybe almost the same, a little more.
Yeah.
And I was at the end of October 2020.
Okay. So Sam, it's almost our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, man.
Did you and Brandon know each other before?
No,
Any musical connection?
We know a lot of the same people though.
Yeah,
Okay.
we mingled in the same circle. So we didn't know each other, but we started talking about, music business and had some common people in our
Brandon, I've got a question for you. This is from Brady.
No.
Because she knows she got 5 kids.
Okay.
So she wants to know what are their ages? And we know they're all girls, so you've referenced that.
Yeah, so I have 2 16-year-olds. Don't ask me how that happened. They're not twins. But I got 2 16-year-olds, 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 3-year-old.
Don't ask you about the 3-year-old either.
The 3-year-old is disrupting everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is life like with 5 girls? And Andrea works, right?
Yeah, Andrea's a nurse.
So
yeah.
Okay.
So she's a nurse. I typically say that I got the best COO of all time, and that's Andrea. She's the chief operations officer of my family.
Okay, so she runs a tight ship.
Yeah, she runs a very tight ship. I pick my battles. I am not the guy that's just arguing about the small things. It got to be like a core value, and I need to argue that, So I'm not sitting there picking fights. We have a lot of organization, literally, in our family structure, and things just work. I feel like if we weren't as organized as we are, it'd be chaos at the house. The baby isn't organized, and she's the one disrupting everything.
I got you.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I was thinking about that last night. The baby is the wild card. Like, everything could be going good, and then she'll blow that thing right up.
Sam, you didn't talk about if you had children.
Yeah, I got it.
No, as a matter of fact, I was thinking you didn't talk about it.
I didn't. Okay. Yes, I do. I have a son who's 7 years old, and I have a daughter who's just turned 4 months old. So it's interesting seeing the difference, the dynamics of how I was with my son versus how I am with my daughter, and especially even just her being so young, I can already see that it's going to be a problem. It's definitely going to be a problem. So
you already got soft hands.
I'm definitely going to be speaking to your COO for some executive consultation. Brandon.
Yeah, she's definitely a beast.
Now I'm gonna say this is an interesting fact about B. I'm gonna tell you why. Because most people who come from music, and we could both attest to that, or something creative, has a hard time in a structured environment.
Yes,
Sure.
Right. The reason that it works for people like him, and sometimes myself, because I'm somewhere in between, is that there are 2 types of music makers. There's the extra creative and abstract. Then there's the systems person who knows this goes here, this goes this goes this. Now, I'm gonna tell you why I think you're good at what we're doing. Because you was a systems guy in music,
Yep.
and what happens is he take that part of him and brings it here, and it's like clockwork for it. And I think all of us have bought something from whatever it is that we've had, in our past, whether it's the experience of seeing other people do what we do, if it's from another industry, and bringing those things in. I think the beauty of this particular crew is that we've all been able to take something and apply it. And I think a lot of times people have trouble with that. And people have trouble with seeing the commonality between things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a strong suit of this particular group. And I just want to give y'all those flowers while, I could.
Oh, man, we appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
If we had sound effects, I'll put the crowd.
The
there.
horn?
Yeah,
Okay,
something.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, well, I would say to pivot off of what you were saying, for me especially, I hate structure. I hate structure and I love structure all at the same time. Actually, I couldn't say structure. I guess authority. I hate authority. Right? I am the wild card, but I have to learn to. I have to learn to.
We won't tell you all about that background check.
we won't.
Yeah, just authority. It was always a thing for me, and that's why I always wanted to forge my own way in that creative space and create. I always say for myself, I'm not the creative type. I'm more of an executioner. So I'm not the guy that's gonna, take you from A to B, meaning the guy who's gonna create it and then, go from there. I'm the guy that's taking you from B to C. After we create it or you create it, then I'll turn it into a business.
Yeah,
I'll wrap
the
a business.
implementer.
Yeah, an implementer. Right. I'll wrap a business structure around it.
So if you're an implementer, how do you not like authority?
There goes my
That's
struggle.
that's for another podcast.
That's my
doesn't go
that's my
together.
Two-Face moment with the coin.
Okay, I got you.
I flip the quarter, up in the air.
What are the questions you got over there?
So one of the questions that I got was, what are our hobbies? Brandon,
All right, so
do you have a hobby with 5 girls?
yes,
Okay.
I need alone time. So,
Okay.
so I got a few hobbies. I think as of today, I'm, and this might sound nerdy, I am learning chess and I'm learning golf. So those are my 2 hobbies right now.
Okay.
Music come second nature. So if I have to do anything with music, it's just done.
Okay. What about you, Sam?
Man, it's hard because I don't think I have hobbies. I think
I'm going somewhere with this, and that's a problem.
I actually, man, I think I work. I go from one thing to the next. Like, I guess I have a band. I have a 8-piece band.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
do stuff. We just released a video.
So one of the definitions of a hobby is, do you get paid for it? Because apparently, if you get paid for your hobby, it's not a hobby anymore.
That case,
that sucks the fun out of it.
I don't have hobbies.
Okay.
I don't think the only thing I
Now, I will say, I think there's probably a lot of musicians out there that maybe get paid, but it's probably not even enough to cover the expenses. So at that point, you probably are doing it for fun.
That's
So
an expensive hobby.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think I think I tried to pass that point a while ago.
Okay.
But
Don't let me insult you. Sorry.
no. So
Well, let's talk about, what instruments do you play?
play piano.
Okay. Anything else?
If we at church, I'll play that B3, the organ.
I feel like people that play the piano can always pick up something else. That's why I asked.
Well, be honest, I don't know. I think I'm gonna tell you who I think.
I thought I heard saxophones from somebody.
Now I'm gonna tell you who can pick
That's,
up a lot
Jim.
of other stuff. Drummers.
Really?
No.
Drummers can pick up a lot of other instruments, yo,
Oh, okay.
because of
Those
the
are
coordination.
Ambidextrous ones.
Yeah, I guess hand, feet, and all that.
For me, I would say cars.
Okay.
Cars. I'm into old classic cars. I like going to car shows. I like driving them. I like racing. I do a lot of hill climb races. I do
Do what now?
hill climb races.
Like up a hill.
Yeah, like around Blood Mountain type of thing.
Good roads up there.
Another is I like racing karts, go karts. So
I think that's that sales competitiveness side in him.
I've been doing that, and I want to say probably 10, 15 years easy. That's just always been a passion of mine, a hobby of mine, between the old cars and racing.
Okay. So where I'm going with this is that obviously, you know me, I'm not. We can't just have an episode where we just talk about us. We gotta leave the listeners with some sort of takeaway.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to an interview with a lady named Annie F. Downs. She's author, speaker. I believe she even pastors or associate pastors, and it was an interview about her book. That Sounds Fun. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I was listening to it is because I kind of just wanted to break away from anything business related at that time. And so I thought, that sounds fun. I'll listen to this interview. But ultimately, the book, it's a new release, and I haven't read it. But it's the joys of being an amateur, the power of falling in love, and why you need a hobby. And the relation to why you need a hobby also related back to business from the standpoint of living, I guess, what she would probably call a well-balanced life. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was interesting how she made connections with what your hobbies say about you. And so for me, I grew up riding dirt bikes, logged a whole bunch of miles as a kid on the back of my dad's Harley, started riding Harleys as soon as I could, still do. So that's a passion of mine. And then, probably around my freshman year of college, I got into boats. My parents had a boat. We spent a lot of time on the lake, have a boat now. And that's something that's a little more family oriented for us, I guess. Hard to put a 2-year-old on the back of a Harley at this moment. When I got to thinking about my hobbies, I realized that both of those were kind of an escape for me. If Frantz may could relate to this from the car side of things, but for me, the Harley's kind of like, there's little interruptions. Like nowadays you got Bluetooth in your helmets and stuff, but most of the time you're not taking a phone call riding down the road. And so it's that escape. And I think the boat is very similar in that there's something about leaving land and going out on water. It's almost like you go to a different world. And so I think that's part of what some of my hobbies help me do is it kind of takes you to another place. Not to say that necessarily I'm running from like my present or current life, but one thing I thought was interesting about one of her hobbies was crocheting. And apparently she had a really rough childhood growing up, and her grandmother crocheted. And she said, now my friends make fun of me like I'm this old lady who sits around and crochets, but what I know is that when I was at my grandmother's, I was at a safe place, and it takes me back there. And so when I'm crocheting, I feel close to her, she's no longer living at this time. And so I just thought it might be interesting to talk about our hobbies, and then thinking about it from that sense, what do they say about us? And then I challenge our listeners to maybe ask themselves that same question.
So I take that back. I do have a hobby. Cigars.
I inspired you.
Cigars.
Okay.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an avid cigar smoker as well. I think that's what you and I have in common.
Yeah. So
do you see that, or is there a connection there like what we were talking about?
Yeah, so it's a space. Like when you're with a cigar, it's a space of peace.
Okay.
You never seen anybody get rowdy at a cigar bar. There's a reason for that. It's like a calming effect. And then the process of knowing what kind of cigars you're smoking, the wraps, tobacco, you know what I mean? It's a process. It's almost a lifestyle, but
it's always interesting too to talk about hobbies because whatever you're into, it is complex, right? Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think about cigar. For me personally, not smoking cigars, I wouldn't think about all that goes into them.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
I've been smoking 20 plus years, and it's literally a whole thing. Like you said, from leaves to regions, especially regions. It's like wine.
Yeah,
same concept.
Sure, I can relate to that.
A California wine versus a French wine, or New Zealand or South African. Same concept with these cigars. But to go back to what you were saying, I think with the thing about a hobby, which is it's the seclusion of it, right? It's the mental seclusion of it, where it's that moment of inner peace.
Yeah.
And that's what I think that's where we're going with it, where that it brings you that moment of inner peace.
Right. Well, basically what she said, if you don't have that moment of balance, then typically maybe it's your professional life oftentimes is not healthy because you don't have that release or that escape or ways to deal with maybe even difficult times. So like Brandon, like yours, like when did music start for you?
14 years old.
Was there a reason or?
No, I was in high school I went to an art school and we had like majors and minors. So I was majoring in video production, minor in photography. And but I was obsessed with Timbaland and Aaliyah and Missy Elliott and I didn't know who Timbaland was. You guys can Google it. I didn't know who Timbaland was, but every time I fell in love with a piece of music, It was his. So my older brother, who's actually one of the other questions we had was who was
we hadn't got to that one, but
who was your biggest, what you said, your biggest mentor?
Yeah.
So my older brother, who was my biggest mentor, was actually a music artist at that time, and he just taught me. He just put me with someone, and they taught me how to make music, and I was like all through 14 to 19 when I got my first professional placement. I was just trying to emulate Timbaland. So that's when it happened and how it happened.
Gotcha.
That's interesting because everybody's how they got into something is different. Like, music was always a part of my life. However, I got serious about it because I got hurt playing a sport.
I got you.
So when I was 15, now growing up, my father's a bass player, my mother's a singer.
And it was mostly music in the church?
In the church.
Okay.
I mean, most musicians,
that's right.
85-90% of
the good ones
start in church. If you can play in a church service, you could pretty much play anywhere.
That's true.
If you choose to. But my mom, like I said, is a singer. My dad's a bass player, so I was always around music. And then I played it. I didn't take it seriously. I was a pretty good high school athlete, like really, really good. And then I tore my ACL when I was 15.
I feel like he told us that a few times today.
Was he good or bad?
I was pretty good. I was trash.
Okay.
I was trash. But I tore my ACL when I was 15, and then I'm stuck in the house with nothing but a piano.
Wow.
And so it was either go to sleep because I'm on pain meds or play piano. And I just I fell in love with it. And then the rest of just came together.
All right, so in closing, I know this episode was a little off the leadership topic. We promise to get back to the topic at hand next week, but wanted to answer some of those questions that had come in. Hope you guys learned a little something about us, and look forward to talking to you next week.
If you got 1% of value from this podcast, do us a favor. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell your friend, tell your coworker. Until we meet again. Lead one.